What's up, guys? This is going to be another Wildstar class highlights video. This time it's for the Engineer, and I'm going to show what I thought was interesting about the Engineer live stream they did today. Sorry for being a little bit late on this video. I have been playing a ton of Wildstar and actually streaming it on my Twitch channel that's linked below. They were nice enough. Carbine directly contacted me via Twitter, sent me an email giving me press access to the game, and I am able to make videos and stream anything I want to about Wildstar as long as it's levels 1 through 15. I can't do anything above that. So what this means is if you have a question or you want me to make a video about something that I can cover from levels 1 through 15, leave a comment down below. If you want to know how a specific thing works or you have a video idea for me, leave it down below, and there's a good chance I'll make it because I'm going to be making a ton of videos. I'm going to be playing a lot of Wildstar, going to be streaming a lot of Wildstar. I'm going to be very, very busy for the next few days for sure, and probably a long time. I've got quite a few video ideas, so if you have something you want me to do, leave it in the comments down below, and I am going to bust my ass and try to do them all. So, yep. Anyway, this is what I enjoyed from the Wildstar Engineer live stream. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you enjoy the video, and I will see you tomorrow.
So the Engineer is kind of like this do-it-yourself engineer, right? He's an engineer, so he makes stuff. Right. He's got this launcher, which is kind of experimental. When you use your attacks, it's building up something called volatility, which is your class resource, and that lets you shoot off some more energy-type experimental things that you'll see going on.
Right. So as we're going through here, we're seeing a few things. Now, this ability that you just used is marking targets, actually, and you can mark up to 12, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, we will definitely cover that.
Yeah. So we're using a few things here. You'll notice the Engineer also has bots.
He does. So, yeah, so besides the launcher, he has the bots, which are... he can have up to 2 bots at a time. He has 4 total bots to choose from, and you can have any combination of those bots. And they have utility for every purpose. So you have 1 bot for tanking, you have 1 bot for DPS, you have a bot for CC, you have a bot for healing shields. So you have a lot of variety in there. And then on top of that, the Engineer also comes packed with heavy armor. So he can take quite a bit of punishment, which means his overall DPS output's a little bit lower than something like the Spell Singer or the Esper. So it's a different gameplay style.
Right.
And then some other things that really set him apart are that, or her apart, are that using your cast time abilities, you can use them while moving around, but they'll slow you down. So you have this heavier feeling to the Engineer when you compare it to some of the other classes.
So let's talk about the 2 bots that are out right now. What do these bots do, and why are they interesting and unique?
So right now he has the Bruiser bot, which is his bot that's used for tanking. The Bruiser bot comes with an auto attack that is going to do a 360, which means it's hitting multiple targets, multiple enemies nearby. It's the only bot right now that actually, with their auto attack, hits multiple targets. He also generates a good amount of threats so that he's able to tank for you while you're doing solo content. And on top of that, all the bots have an activatable ability that is it's on your action bar, and you're able to aim that just like you are any of your other freeform attacks, and he will leap at the target, interrupting them. It looks like we're running into a little bit of a technical glitch here, but we'll get that addressed as long as he moves over. I think you have to move over to the other side of the map here. We are in closed beta, so we do have a couple of glitches here and there. It's not that big of a deal. But anyway, like I was saying, all of the bots have those activatable abilities. The Bruiser bot taunts when you tell him to leap to an area. So he'll leap to this area, he'll taunt, he'll also interrupt anybody that's casting. So it's just a nice utility ability.
So let's talk about how you command these robots and how you do it. We get a lot of questions on how you use this pet class effectively. So can you can use it by hitting the ability to summon them.
Yeah.
Right. And we also have bot commands you can see on the action bar there.
Yeah. So you have the ability to summon them. So now they're out there. They're a permanent pet that will be sticking with you the whole time that they're summoned. If they die, they'll go on a 15-second cooldown. And actually, you know what? We totally forgot to let Steven go through his build.
Oh yeah,
we should let him do that.
Yeah, let's take through that.
He'll give us a lot of details, and we won't have to talk about it all ourselves.
Yeah, fair enough. So Steven, hold on. While we should be closing portals
that
are leaking into the ship hole here.
The environmental hazards might start hitting me.
Yeah, but at the very least, let's talk about this build.
Okay. So the first ability here is Pulse Blast. It's your basic attack. It does a massive amount of damage in the center cone, and it has 2 smaller cones on the outside that do decreasing amounts of damage.
Why don't you fire that off a couple times so they can see it in
All right.
action, so they get a sense for it.
Yeah.
Just keep doing that as you're talking about these
All
other
right.
ones.
The next one is
We have tactical strike.
Tactical Strike. Tactical Strike puts a mark on your target. You can basically spray the entire amount of mobs that are in front of you, and it marks them, and at the end it does massive amounts of damage to them.
And what's cool is that that's kind of like an orbital strike that kind of
Yeah, it's like you're actually like lasing a target and having
Yeah,
to
that's the
call
one-
down an aerial strike.
Frost was calling that out earlier. We'll call that out again later on.
Alrighty. The next one is a really cool ability that I love. It's Urgent Withdrawal. So you do damage in that circle in front of you and snare the targets, and then you propel yourself backwards 8 meters. And it has 2 charges, so I could like jump back and then change my direction, jump again.
Right.
And you can also do that 2 times while you're in the air, so you
Yep.
can do it without hitting the ground.
And you can do it while jumping, right?
Yep. And
Yep.
if you want to get a little bit more distance, you do it while jumping.
So in PvP, that has saved my ass numerous times. Just want to point that out.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
This one requires you to have volatility, 60 volatility. It's very substantial. It's Mortar Strike. It's something that, as you can kind of see, there's a deeper telegraph in the center. It hits for a massive amount of damage if you can catch people in it, and then lesser damage on the outer sides. This is a really just beefy skill shot. The next one's Zap. It's a stun and does damage. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Oh, it looks like you just hit your innate ability. You kind of just let the cat out of the bag. You're like,
I
You
just
know
did.
what?
I
I'm
just did. I
tired
was
of
like-
showing these abilities.
it's
Let's time
right
to show
zoom
the
in on this.
innate.
Right by
Yeah,
R.
let's
do
zoom in
this.
on this, dude, because this is a pretty cool.
turn off your UI
in-
too, so
innate
people can
ability.
really get a good
So
view
you
of
get
it.
this tech suit that you can launch into, and it gives you. There's 2 stances you can have in this tech suit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's 2 ways of accessing it. You have your provocation mode, which is your tanking stance, and you have your eradication mode, which is your DPS stance. We'll talk about provocation mode once we get over to the dungeon, and maybe I'll call it eradication once we're in the
Alright.
PvP.
Sounds good.
So Zap, really simple ability. Stuns, Quick Burst. This can only be fired after landing a critical hit. It does a lot of damage in the conical shape. Seeing as I haven't crit yet, I can't fire it off right now.
This is just another one of those abilities. Like we wanted to add things to the game that weren't always on cooldown. They weren't always off your resource. We just wanted them to kind of pop up while you're in the middle of combat, change up your pacing.
And then we have the bots.
Okay, the first ability here is the bot ability Blitz. It's given to you after you've summoned your Bruiser bot. Basically, you aim it, and you hit a target, and it commands the Bruiser bot to leap to that target, do AoE damage, taunt, and interrupt all the targets in the area.
Gotcha. And then our second bot, Homie, as well.
Yep. This is Artillery Bot's Barrage. It works the same as the Bruiser bot. You command it to go to hit a target. This one actually fires a barrage. It's a channeled AoE on the target
Why don't you go ahead and
area.
fire that off, since I think you don't need a target for that, correct?
You do need a target.
Oh, you
for
do?
that.
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Look at me. Who am I? I'm
You'll
a
see
fool.
it when we're playing through.
Do engineer bots spawn for a certain amount of time, or do they die quickly when positioned in enemy telegraphs? From
So-
Ian Rasmussen.
So when you summon them out, they last permanently. So that is until they get destroyed. So if they are standing in enemy telegraphs, they'll get destroyed after a certain amount of time, depending on the strength of those telegraphs. But
The cooldown is not that harsh. though.
yeah, it's 15 seconds. So
Yeah.
you're able to pull them back out without too much time.
Right, and you can see a little bit of the tanking element in here as well. Just as a background as well, this class can be both DPS and a tank.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that. It's something that people might not be used to, having a ranged tank, but it's something that fits Wildstar really well, especially when you have bosses and creatures that are doing telegraphs and standing still.
Right, most definitely. So let's take another question. This one comes from Vial. It seems like engineers seem less mobile than most classes. For DPS, that doesn't get benefits from being extra tanky. What skills are available to control a fight or give you breathing room?
Well, so the engineer, while you're not as mobile as a spell slinger or a medic or stuff like that, you are able to cast while on the move. So you are able to kind of wade through at that reduced speed as you're using your abilities. But since you have that heavy armor, you're able to take that damage, and since you're able to tank at a range, you're able to position yourself away from the bosses. So it's a little bit different style of play where you're kind of prepping yourself to be out of the danger zone by, you know, getting into a jet and flying around. Danger zone reference. Sorry about that.
Well done. I have that Top Gun reference somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But besides that, you also have Urgent Withdrawal, which we showed off, which you use it twice to leap backwards. You don't actually have any gap closers in Engineer because you already have that huge range and that huge armor that we didn't think it was necessary to give you a gap closer. It looks like people keep asking us, do bots, are they come back? Yes, bots do. If they die, you definitely, they go on a cooldown, but you're able to resummon them.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And you can also desummon them if you want to.
Yeah, you can desummon. If you desummon them, they also go on a cooldown.
Right. So you'll notice that telegraph that he just fired off again has a circle effect, but in the core, it actually has more damage. So skill is a huge thing for us in Wildstar. We want to make sure that when you're playing this game, if you are skilled, you're going to get rewarded for marking your targets correctly.
And there's a lot of ways to be skilled in a game like this. There's just the aiming of it. There's the ability cadence usage, making sure that you're using your class resource efficiently, like you have a good ability rotation.
Right.
There's being able to move out of the way of enemy telegraphs, so positioning yourself well. And yeah, so we definitely want there to be a variety of skill types that excel in Wildstar.
Will the Engineer's Bruiser bot taunt work on players?
Yeah, so the Bruiser bot's taunt works the way that our other taunts in Wildstar work, where the victim of the taunt will actually do less damage to anybody other than the taunter. So the Bruiser bot taunts a group of players. All those players are now doing reduced damage to any other target besides that Bruiser bot. A lot of people have been asking, hey, do you have to have bots? Is the Engineer a pet class? The Engineer is a pet class, but it also kind of depends on your playstyle and your action set. So Steven's just switched builds, and he's going to walk us through this build that has no bots whatsoever. It completely relies on your launcher and you as the Engineer.
So yeah, let's take a look at these abilities one by one. Pulse Blast. What's going on with Pulse Blast, Steven?
Pulse Blast, it's pretty
the
much
same?
the same thing as last time.
Same builder.
Does the same thing. We have Energy Auger. Energy Auger does a massive amount of damage to the front and then leaves an area of denial field there. Basically, people that go through it will receive damage.
This is actually a really good tool for pulling. You do that upfront damage, the mobs run at you, they're taking damage the whole way.
This is also a charged ability, so it takes you about, what, 3 seconds before you could fire it off.
It's got a good cast time on it.
Yeah.
The next one is Shock Pulse. But you fire 3 beams in front of you. Each beam hits individually and does an amount of damage and snares the targets.
So basically, if you hit somebody with all 3 of those, you're going to do more damage. Is
Yeah.
that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool.
Electrocute, much like Mortar Strike, uses volatility. This is going to do a channel effect in front of you. It's got a really cool look to it. I like it a lot.
It's an instant channel on that one as well, right? Yeah, that one's clutch for doing your DPS.
Bolt Caster, it's a line, much like the others, but you charge it up and it increases.
Yeah, so
As
there's only that 1 line at first, but it actually spans out to be 5 lines by the time you fully charge it up. And again, the more lines you hit, the more damage you do.
We have Quick Burst again.
Definitely good. That one comes if you have a critical hit. That one will pop up for you to use.
Critical hit.
That was in the last build also.
Yeah.
Yep. And the 7th one should be
Personal defense unit.
Well, actually, it looks like our bar is a little messed up. It should actually be Obstruct Vision. That's a blind, which does that point-blank AoE.
Right.
It's kind of alternative to Zap, or you could take both of those on your bar. Both of them destroy Interrupt Armor. They're both good CCs. But
so let me ask you guys a question. Blind is perfect for PvP because you're playing around and you want to blind somebody, you want to mess with their vision.
Yeah, why don't we have Steven jump back into this as we
So
jump in.
what happens when you're using it in a PvE experience? What does that do to enemies?
So if you use it in PvP or PvE, it's going to actually make the creatures kind of wander around. Okay. So they're kind of they're kind of disoriented. They don't really know what to shoot at, what to aim at. They're kind of just distracted for a little while. Yeah.
So yeah, you'll notice Energy Auger there. has a little bit of a cast time in that. See, that telegraph is staying around, and so you can actually trail guys into that, and they'll be taking that damage.
Yeah, and you kind of can use it to lay down an area where players might want to avoid. Something that I want to call out for this build is, besides the fact that he doesn't have bots, it's also kind of a more sustained damage build, because he has that field that does the damage over time. He has Electrocute, which is a channel which does damage constantly. So he's not very spiky in terms of his damage.
See, look at this. This is perfect, right? Starts it out. The monster is now coming at you in that damage field, and then you can also just fire off your abilities.
Launch a PDU there for later.
There we go.
So he just placed
in case.
Yeah, he just
that
placed
glowing
a PDU
thing right there.
We didn't actually talk about that.
Yeah, what is a PDU?
That's one of the utility abilities that the engineers have, which once you pick that up, it gives you a armor buff, and it also, at the end of the buff, it restores shields. So it's a...
it's good heal.
Yeah,
it's good to put out there. And can other people touch that as well if they want to get that heal? Or is it only the engineer?
It's only for the engineer. Those are engineer specific.
Okay.
The engineer does have a way to heal ally shields, and that's with the repair bot. So why don't we get some of these duels going?
Yeah, so
let's do this.
Let's start this, man. I mean, those dudes look like they're talking some mean-ish.
I guess I shouldn't have said duel. It's actually a 2-on-2.
It's a 2-on-2. It's a tool. Duel. 2-on-2.
So they're going.
Yeah.
So Steven is actually a tank right now, so we're kind of showing off the fact that you can tank in PvP. He has ability to taunt enemies. He has the ability to soak up a lot of damage. He's able to block skill shots. So it looks like the other two guys, that's actually Nick and Brett, who have been on some of our other live streams. It looks like they're trying to focus down Mark because he's the healer. And so ideally, Steven would be doing some taunts on here to reduce the amount of damage that they're dealing to Mark. Mark's taking a lot of punishment, though.
So, Mark's down.
So Mark's down.
So you can, I think Steven's got a chance here, though.
This would be a great time to use his innate, I would say, because it's going to stop him from taking any sort of punishment.
Oh man, we just got CC'd there. So we've got that breakout gameplay.
So he used his innate. Now he's in his tank innate. This means he's going to be taking a lot less damage. His armor's like greatly increased.
And his damage is increased pretty.
Not in your tank mode. When you're in eradication mode, you're actually able to put out a lot more damage. But when you're in tank mode, it's really more just for that survivability.
The other thing to notice that is very. See, we were just in the heal area there.
Just got blind again.
Oh man, so blind again. We were talking about that earlier. That is a devastating CC in PvP.
Yeah. Besides actually affecting your screen, it also reduces your chance to hit with your attacks.
Right. So the bots, we just pulled them out to hopefully get some help tanking on there. It's not looking good for Steven, though.
No, he put up a valiant effort, but he's actually joined all the other class designers in dying on the stream, and I'm very disappointed in all of them at this point. And no, I will not be streaming me playing because I will never die on stream. On this stream.
I think we'll figure out a way to do it somehow.
Yeah, maybe
we'll figure it out. So, question the first. What types of escapes will be available to the engineer for PvP? Are there any teleports or jumps to get out of range quickly? That's from Scuzz DP7.
So like I was saying before, the engineer has a lot of advantages, but being able to get out of the way or being able to quickly disengage isn't really one of those strengths. He does have that ability that leaps him backwards, urgent withdrawal. It's not a huge distance though, and it does snare. So that's basically the only tool that you have to get out of dodge quickly as an engineer, besides your sprinting and
what's great about it too, though, is you can use those charges like tap tap and get out of the way and use them really quickly.
Or if you only need to get back a little bit, you can use it, and then if you want to hold on to that second charge, use it later on. You can.
Right. So let's talk about this fight. What's going on here? It seems like we're getting more damage off, so that's good.
Yeah, it looks like they actually were concentrating their damage. Nice. They weren't. It looks like they're actually trying to focus Steven this time a little bit more, which is not the best strategy.
No.
Just because an engineer, ton of armor, he's in a tank stance.
That was really quick. Well done, guys. Well done. You made up for it right there.
Yeah, we had to.
Yeah, that was clutch.
Why don't you try to mix up your build here a little bit, try to get rid of those bots, and do something with some more taunts to show off the fact that you can reduce the damage. And maybe hopefully they can try to go after the medic again and see if you can help keep him alive.
So while we're doing that, let's go with another question. What are the downsides or limitations of using the engineer's exosuit?
So this is something that at the moment there aren't really that many limitations. You know what? It's just kind of the best thing you ever want.
It's a little awesome right now.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
they're fighting without me.
No.
Oh,
That's not very. That's very,
man,
not
you know
very
what?
nice of them.
Use that setting, get in there, help him out, man. There you go.
Oh, it doesn't look like he was able to change his
So,
build because of that. Because he got into combat. You can't actually change your action sets when you're in combat.
A little bit of an unfair advantage there to start out with, but you know what? I have faith in you, Steven.
You can do this.
You're gonna do it.
You can do this. To answer that question though, what was the question again? I just forgot what it was.
To be honest with you, totally forgot.
Oh man, it's like we can't even pay attention to 2 seconds.
Yeah, so anyway, we do have another question that's written down. We're like Ron Burgundy. You have to type it down. We read it, and we will read it verbatim. Otherwise, we just forget it. Exosuit downsides, that's what it was.
Oh, it looks like they just got another win. Good job, guys.
Well done, even though those guys kind of came in.
Let's keep this going. I think it's good. I think it's a good
We'll do another
background
one
for these
yeah,
questions.
The downsides to the exosuit.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now
that's right.
there are a limited amount, but
oh yes, we are. So we're adding kind of drawbacks. We're adding certain elements to each of these innates to make them not always the right answer.
balance.
And so
you know what I mean, you gotta balance it
And so the mech suit will actually slow your movement speed
significantly.
You'll have a 30% move speed reduction whenever that exosuit's active.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something that's really good for holding a position. It's going to be something that's good to kind of like push people away, but you're not really going to be able to chase people down in it, and you're not really going to be able to get away in it.
And it makes sense from a, you've got a giant mech suit on, it's probably going to slow you down a little bit. But it does make you stronger, so catch 22 there.
So it looks like they're trying to focus down Mark again. They're actually doing pretty successful, and they've actually taken him down really quickly.
Yeah, that was fast this time.
Yeah.
So Steven, I salute you if you can pull this one off, my friend. Another thing to point out is that our shields in our game, those regenerate over a certain time if you're not being hit. That's correct?
That is correct. And also the engineer has a couple of ways of regenerating shields themselves. They have the shield bot, which regenerates shields, and they have a few other abilities that will actually regenerate shields.
All right, man, come on. You got to use.
He looks like he's being a hero.
Nice.
Are you being a hero, Steven?
Oh man,
I'm trying.
Don't miss that skill shot.
Oh.
Good job.
Well done. So this is close.
This is actually, I think Steven's got him. At this point, he's...
Oh, that was a good pull though.
Oh.
So we just
Use
spawned
those
in a bot.
cooldowns.
We're hopefully getting him out. Now you're hanging out
Oh,
and get some heals as well. This is really close. He's not going to let you have
Steven
this,
doesn't
man.
have the damage for this, does he? No.
Oh, Steven.
You let
had
that
faith in you.
was Nick Roth that just
Nick Roth, you did a good job there.
yeah, Nick.
That was a close fight. But the interesting thing here is it would be kind of boring if it was just one-sided, this guy winning all the time,
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it.
That's why, I mean, the balance in this game is perfect. Never get any better. So
That quote is going to be used now against us. What have you done, man?
I don't.
What have you done?
The balance in this game is perfect.
So let's ask some more questions here while Steven gets his res on. Are engineer bots pets controllable by the player completely, or do they just do their own thing, or some combination from Tygon?
It's a combination. So once you have them out, you have stances that you can put your bots into. It looks like we're actually getting ready to go into a dungeon here. So just so you know, be ready for it.
Man.
Duels are over, dungeon time. But yeah, the bots, you can control them by telling them to do their special abilities. You can tell them to attack a specific target. You can tell them to go to a location. And you can put them in stances like aggressive, defensive, passive.
Right.
And then depending on that stance, they'll kind of behave the way that you would expect them to.
Sure.
With those stances.
So Tygon had a follow-up. Are bots healable, buffable? Can they do tanking in a group, or are they more like off-tank bots?
So they're not really ever going to fully tank for you in a dungeon. They're going to kind of distract mobs for a short while, but dungeon mobs are really strong, and they will do tons of damage, and a bot's not going to be able to stand up to that. So you have to use a combination of yourself plus your bot to go through some of the encounters.
As a side note, I will say that a lot of people will give us feedback. We'll read the comments and videos and stuff. They'll say, don't telegraphs make everything super easy? And the dungeons are pretty much proof that that is not the case.
Yeah, pretty much.
They are insane in dungeons. They're all over the place. It's not just a simple like, oh, I'm going to memorize it 2 minutes in. He's going to do this attack, so I can just hang out in this area and be safe.
And even outside of dungeons, in our just open world content, we've done the recent update that really increases the damage of telegraphs. So if you're standing you're going to take punishment.
Right.
And actually, David Bass, our community manager, he was talking about how he never realized how often he was standing in telegraphs while questing until we made this update.
Yep. No, that sounds about right.
We better show off this tanking build.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that for a second. So Steven, show us the difference between the tanking build and what we were looking at earlier in PvP.
In PvP,
So the first one we have flat cannon.
so the first one we have is flat cannon. It's your basic attack. After a short charge up, you channel for a bit. Does an extreme amount of damage.
Extreme.
Extreme.
Extreme, bro.
A lot of damage.
Now we have Bioshell. Bioshell hits a target in that line and explodes, or explodes at the end of that line, as you can see from the telegraph. I'll show it off.
It's a long cast time.
It's
It's
a
something
very
really
long
good
cast
for
time.
pulling.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It fires and explodes, and then it debuffs technology resistance, which is great for when we dueled the and the medic was with me because he does technology damage.
Right.
We have give him the gas.
We'll see that when we're going.
Yeah.
Give them the gas also, like Bioshell, explodes at the target or at the end, and then it leaves an area of
Like a
field.
trail.
Leaves a field, a circular field that debuffs their chance to hit other people. We have particle ejector, which is a channel. It's much like electrocute, except I can't use it right now because no volatility.
Gotcha. Next up,
Sap, we've used it before. Sun.
quick interrupt.
Yep, quick interrupt. This is our blind.
Boom. Structure.
We have Bruiser Bot here.
Yes. And Bruiser Bot does what
Yeah.
exactly?
Bruiser Bot is the one that is the more of a tanking pet.
Gotcha.
I can command it to go and taunt and interrupt targets every 30 seconds.
Perfect.
And we have the Repair Bot, which you saw in the duel. It healed shields on command.
Which is definitely clutch if you're a tank and you need some extra help if your healer is not pulling his weight
Yeah.
and or her weight. How do you feel the engineer being a ranged tank will affect boss positioning for melee and ranged DPS?
So I would guess that as the engineer is moving around and he has these mobs coming at him, the players that are doing range DPS are going to have to be really mindful of where that tank's location is, because he could inadvertently drag those mobs right on top of one of his DPS. So you got to kind of keep an eye. You're always going to keep an eye on your tank, but
Right.
as a engineer in your group, you're
Gotta
going
be
to
mindful.
you're not going to want him to come over to where you're at. Well, to actually answer a question that just came in also is they were asking about, does an engineer always have to rely on kiting? And you can kind of see here that the engineer doesn't have to do that. He has this heavy armor, he has ways of restoring health and debuffing enemies and stuff like that. So he is able to stand toe-to-toe with a boss, and we expect him to do that often.
Right.
It's just that in those situations like right now, Steven could be getting out of the way and using his abilities while the boss is in standing in place.
Most certainly. So Elder Game is a big focus for us here on Wildstar. We always hate it when you're playing an MMO and you get to level cap and there's nothing left to do. So we have a lot of stuff in store, not only for games like dungeons and PvP and all that stuff, but also these systems. So amps, ability tiers, and all that stuff. There's no way you can get all those things by the time that you get to level 50. So you're gonna have to spend time at level cap actually doing that stuff.